Are you one of those people who feels guilty about the state of your garden, think it should be maybe a bit tidier, fewer weeds, maybe the grass has got a bit too long?
Worry not. You may actually be doing more good than you think. In a moment, we'll talk about No Mow May. First, though, take a trip to South Devon. It's hoped that a project there will improve the habitat of the coastal path, which might just help around 60 of its most threatened invertebrates and plant species. Our reporter John Ayres can explain.
To some people, these plants look like weeds, but in reality, they're a hugely important habitat for the insects and animals that live here. So what's this project all about?
Well, at its core, it's about creating and restoring and enhancing species-rich coastal grasslands like this for rare and endangered insects that the South Devon coastline is their stronghold in the country. And then involving lots of people, communities, landowners, farmers, in helping us achieve that vision. We need more meadows that have got lots of different wildflowers in them because these insects all need different things. And actually, somewhere like this is perfect. It looks beautiful for all the colours, but it's got those different heights and types of flowers that they need. And then we need to join them up. So what we want to do is create these corridors. If we only have little patches of wildflower meadows, these insects haven't got anywhere to go. We need to join them up to make corridors so they can really get a good hold on South Devon by moving along the coast. There's place for them to go along these corridors. They can go up and down the estuaries. This looks amazing to us, but some people think, oh, it's just a load of weeds. So the education and awareness part of it's really important too, to actually say to people, your lawn might look beautiful and green and pristine, but has it actually got many flowers in it? What is there for the insects to feed on?
In this part of the world, it's going to be along the coast paths. Is there a conflict here between people that are going to be using the paths and what you're trying to achieve?
No, not at all. I mean, the coast path is an amazing way for people to go and actually see these places. I guess what we need to do is look at how we work with the farmers who are managing that land alongside the coast path. So we'll be providing advice, specialist advice that will actually help them get into schemes that will help them get paid for doing this really important nature conservation work as part of their farming business.
The project lasts for 5 years and it's hoped it will help address the biodiversity crisis along this part of South Devon. John Ayres, BBC News.
So, in the studio with us this morning, Tim Cockerell, who's an entomologist. Morning to you,
Good morning.
Tim. That thing, the question we asked at the top about, people look at their gardens and think, are we doing the right thing? Does it look nice? Are we doing the right thing for what might want to live and breed there? What's the answer to that?
Yeah, the sad thing is that we come from one of the most nature-depleted countries in the world. So we've lost more of our wildlife compared to most of the countries around the world. But we have this secret weapon in gardens. And in fact, if you add up all of the area of the gardens in the UK, they come to a larger area than all of our national nature reserves, right? So our gardens, you can see it as a bit of a secret weapon for biodiversity and nature. And there are really interesting things and tiny things that we can do just to make our gardens more friendly towards biodiversity. Like, for example, not mowing your lawn quite as often.
So No Mow May. No
Mow May, yeah, it's a brilliant scheme. And so if you think about all of those seasons where the plants are growing, where the plants are flowering all the way through spring and summer, and we're not talking about turning gardens into jungles, people like to keep a nice tidy garden, a garden that you can actually use. But if you choose some patches in your garden, for example, just to let them go wild and let them run wild, let the wildflowers come up for a few months and then mow a nice tight path through the middle, you have the kind of mosaic of different habitats within a garden, and they're great for wildlife.
When we come to the office here, come off the road, and there are quite a few main roads around the outskirts of Manchester, ring roads and stuff. One of the verges has like thistles and wildflowers, and it's only just come up in the last kind of few months. I noticed it and I just thought, what a good idea.
Yeah.
We can adapt, can't we? Even the most busy roads
Completely.
with the most beautiful flowers.
Yeah, and it's amazing what pops up. So a university that I used to work at, we had a very tightly cropped lawn outside the front. It was very nice and prim and proper, and it'd been like that for decades and decades. And one year we just decided to leave it. So we did exactly that. We just mowed some nice tight paths through the middle and left these other patches to go wild. And we found orchids. There were 3 or 4 different species of orchid. And so they'd been waiting to pop up, and all we needed to do, no kind of intensive management, just give them a chance. So these things are there, and they're just waiting for us to give them a chance to come back.
I'm thinking there'll be people watching this morning and thinking, it's all very well you're talking about mowing and mowing a nice line and leaving space or whatever. We haven't got a lawn. All we've got is, maybe we've just got a balcony.
Yep.
Some people don't even have that, or a bit of patio, which is all concreted over, maybe before your time. that's your circumstance, are you just out of the game entirely in terms of, you know, what you can do?
Not at all. There are always small things that you can do. And so we think about encouraging wildlife. I'm an entomologist, and so we're always talking about insects, one of the most important parts of biodiversity in any kind of habitat. And of course, lots of insects are pollinators. They feed on nectar from flowers. So anything you can do to have some flowers. The best thing you can do is to think about the diversity of flowers. So things that flower throughout the year or at different times of year. If you think about different sizes and shapes of flowers, different colours, well then a diversity of flowers, even in containers, in pots, even on a windowsill. Diversity of flowers means that a diversity of insects will come, and then that has knock-on effects for the whole of the rest of the ecosystem.
When you introduce yourself, I think there's a better way you could introduce yourself rather than, I always get the entomologist. Bug wrangler.
Yeah.
Bug wrangler.
That's it.
Very, very cool name. What does that involve?
Bug wrangler to the stars. So I teach at Falmouth University. We teach about wildlife photography and wildlife filmmaking. And the other thing that I do is I help TV programmes when they're filming stories about insects. They're kind of David Attenborough wildlife documentaries. And so I've been helping out. I did some things with Spring Watch this year where we found some very exciting things in gardens, actually, some amazing biodiversity there.
I think we can see. Yeah, I think maybe we've got a clip. This is about a garden in Wales, is it?
That's right. So I was working with an amazing filmmaker, amazing young filmmaker, Jake Morris, and in his garden in Wales, we discovered this tiny animal. It's called a pseudo-scorpion. So it's from a group of arachnids related to spiders and scorpions, and it lives in the compost heaps in our garden.
So the way we're looking at it there,
pseudo-scorpion,
because of the filming, it looks gigantic. How big is it?
It's about 3 millimetres long, yeah, so we use very special
really
lenses.
Tiny.
Really, really
so
tiny thing.
it's the size of, like, a small fingernail.
Exactly that, yeah. Really, really small animal. And it's got this incredible trick up its sleeve that it grabs onto a fly's leg and it hitches a ride. So when the fly's flying around, it uses the fly as a kind of taxi to take it to a different habitat.
It's small that it can hitch a ride on a fly.
Yeah, and we had to film that. We had to make all of that happen right in front of the macro lens. But those things only existed because we found a compost heap in Jake's garden. So it's another way, you know, just having that diversity of habitats, some tightly mown patches of grass, some nice kind of mini meadows almost, some shrubs, a compost heap, maybe a little pond. If you combine all of those things together, then you start to see these things that you would normally expect to see in a tropical rainforest, like a pseudo-scorpion, things most people have never heard of before.
What's your garden like?
It's a mess. No,
but you're proud of it?
Absolutely. No, I try to do that. I try to do just enough to keep it tidy. We've got a small garden, but the biodiversity I see there is absolutely astonishing. I hope they're not watching, but next door have got that plastic grass in their garden. And I must say they've turned it into a biodiversity desert. And just by letting things grow a little bit wild, we see... Yeah, I'm going to get in trouble when I get back home now.
Have you just outed your neighbours on national television?
Can we just try and put a positive on that? Presumably, people do, for whatever reason, want false grass, don't they? Presumably, you could do things around that.
Absolutely.
That, you know, so it's not you're not being a
and they
hooligan.
really do. So they've got that, so it doesn't get kind of muddy in our Cornish winters. But they've got lots of great containers with flowers. So yeah, they are doing great things.
You're going to so need to take
myself,
tea round or a sandwich or something. Cake.
Tim, it's been lovely. Bug wrangler. It's been lovely talking to you. Tim Cockrell, thank you very much.